vacant and nobody occupying them. So we're back to the time, pre-Norm Coleman. That's what he was experiencing when he took office too.
And then it increased down there for a while, and
yep, and it increased down there. It became vibrant there for a while. And then of course he did the Excel Center, and that sparked a whole lot of development with restaurants and hospitality, and and then it revitalized downtown. He did a very good job. He did a good thing for St. Paul. But at this time, I think we've already enjoyed all those prosperity, and it's gone again. So we have to start all over again from scratch. And this time we're on a nosedive. People are leaving in droves. And the people on University are wanting to leave. And many of them are saying confidentially. And they won't even say it in English because they don't want somebody to overhear what they're trying to say. They want to speak to me in Chinese, which I hobble on because I came when I was 10 years old. And they too, a lot of them are Hmong and Cambodian and Vietnamese, and they speak a little Chinese, but then they had to hobble on the language. And so between the two of us, we try to, put together what we're trying to say to each other. And they're saying, I might be 63 years old, I may walk away and have nothing, but I am tired. I've been building this business for 24 years, or I have been building this business for 10 years, and I cannot afford to move, so they would just have to drive me out. And
wow.
They're willing to walk away with nothing, and it's very, very sad.
Yeah, it is. What are they saying is driving them out? Is it the taxes?
Well, they're scared
of regulation.
Well, they're scared of the light rail.
Oh, for on the University Avenue.
Yeah. Well, see, the plan that we have, and I know the Met Council, the Chamber. People have spent a lot of time, and good people with lots and lots of good intentions and some really good ideas trying to put this plan together. But this plan may not have come together the right way. It's not perfect at this time, and it may not have come together at the right time. When there was the economic boom, this would have done so well back then. But this is economic downturn, and some of these people are just worried they're not going to survive through construction. And right now, there's no construction going on, and just the rumor of light rail is already putting them out of business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I got to give a notice here to our viewers here. We're having troubles with the phone line system and getting the calls hearing in here. So I got a notice here saying, please don't call in. I'm bumming about this. Anyway, our speakers aren't working out here. However, I'm willing to give it another try, Nathan. So, I mean, all you have to do is turn the speakers up, and you're pretty loud, but make sure the volume going out to the audience out there is okay. I don't mind that. I guess we've had a number of calls and haven't been able to get them through, but I don't mind going through that hassle if you don't mind. So have that. let's get that going. So feel free to call again. We'll give it one more shot. So call in. I mean, light rail has its problems anyway, just because of the expense and the cost, and it just doesn't pay for itself, and it's another tremendous tax burden. But what I'm hearing from business people along University Avenue is that the stops will just bypass their business.
Yeah, there was a time when there were stops that were planned 3 miles in intervals, and now they're planned 1 mile in interval, and so they're thinking that if somebody walks half a mile either way, it's not a big deal. But I think half a mile in the snow is quite a ways. And right now the buses, they stop, every block or a couple blocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus there are new buses coming out. They're so much more fuel efficient, and they have natural gas buses coming out. They're customizable, scalable. So there's so many ways to solve this problem without having to spend so much money. The existing plan doesn't give us the customizability and the scalability, and there, by the way, there's existing rail already there, north of that plan that we have, and we're spending $1 billion on this 11 miles worth of track.
Okay, that's just like the first track was over $1 billion.
Yes, and this is before we're paying off any of the lawsuits, any of the business loss mitigation that the people are experiencing along university. And if we're going to put all that in, who knows what that number will be. And plus, they say typically these projects have a 40% cost overrun. So say even the $1.5 billion being spent on 11 miles of track, and about 40,000 riders are being served.
40,000, okay.
We could actually take those guys around the world a couple of times, I think, for that kind of money.
Yeah, that's extent, yeah. So in quick math here, that's about, I'm not going to be able to do it quick enough. But anyway, it seems like it's about $25,000.
$25,000 for $1 billion, right? For
each rider.
Yeah, for each rider. Yes.
Okay. Why don't you give the riders a choice? Well,
yeah, 25.
This is not going to happen.
They're going to take a world cruise.
25,000 buy your own world cruise, buy your own car.
Yeah, playing across, playing around the world.
You know, and a smart person, 8 of them would get together and probably buy a bus.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that.
And then get passengers and make money on their own.
Actually, $25,000 would buy you a vehicle now.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure can.
And if
so at $1.5 billion, there's even more than that. So it's like $32,000 at $1.5 billion or so.
Well,
or maybe even more.
You know, of course, the whole concept is to not have the vehicles on the road, and then also to decrease congestion. But if you've been on Hiawatha, and I drive that quite a bit, or travel on that quite a bit, it doesn't take care of the congestion. And University Avenue, putting light rail on there, it's going to make it more congested, more time delays for the people that live there.
That's right. It's a very major east and west arterial. So what it does is it will cut off the north and south travel, and it will make a lot of congestion going north and south.
Okay, right. Because you're going down Lexington Avenue from Como Park to get onto 94, and that's fairly heavily traveled road. That's going to back it up, and then Dell Street and Hamlin and Lexington, Snelling.
And then, oh, by the way, I have a sister who's a civil engineer.
Yes.
And she works for KBR, Kellogg Brown and Root. And she says, you know, we gave Minnesota the wrong advice when we told them about the light rail, because in Texas they have their light rail on the ground, being that they have swampy water table, so they have to either be on the ground or they had to go up in elevation. She said we should have told Minnesota they should have had a grade separation. A grade separation means that the ground being the grade, you can go up above the grade or you could go below the grade.
Okay.
So if we do that, there'll be the safety factor is so much better, and the congestion factor will be so much better.
Absolutely. Now, but that adds a lot to the expense, too,
It does add to the expense. But there will come a time when it is right for us to have the right number of riders, to have the right tax base. There is a time to do that, but maybe not this time.
Yeah, I can see where it would be definitely
viable. There is a time when it will be viable, but at this time, when not New York City, it's not viable for us.
Yeah, it's not viable now. I don't know that
275,000 people isn't going to be able to carry that load.
I don't know that it will ever be viable, but it may be more viable.
More viable than others.
at a later time.
Yes.
Well, what kind of ideas do you have for St. Paul to improve the occupancy, keep citizens there? To change the, there's kind of an attitude problem down there, I would say.
Well, I don't think so. I think St. Paulites are very, very loyal and warm people.
I mean in the government.
In the government, well, the government has an idea that for some reason that there is just not enough money for them to operate on, and that's not true. I mean, we're paying $2,200 per capita for the services we get. And yet, we're not rated the most livable city. You know, 2008, the most livable city was Plymouth, Minnesota. And they actually pay only $1,000 per capita for taxes, for property taxes. Can you believe that?